Hello guys, and this is it. The final day of WrestleMania week on this YouTube channel. And today, as I promised, is the next edition of the Retro Review. What is the Retro Review? Real quickly, you, the viewing audience, had a chance to pick from 3 videos. The video that got the most votes was the video that will be reviewed today, right here, on Wrestling Man's Retro Review. And I know you guys are pumped up and you're excited for WrestleMania. As I'm recording this right now, we are 4.5 hours away from WrestleMania 28. And the classic of the week, or not the classic of the week, but the video that I'm going to be reviewing today is one that, if you actually think about it, was a very, very good TV show. And sort of was ahead of its time. Now, of course, we all know talk shows, Jay Leno, David Letterman, Johnny Carson, Steve Allen, Conan O'Brien, Jimmy Kimmel, just to name a few. But back in the day, the World Wrestling Federation had their own talk show. And this video is a compilation, the best you could say, of this talk show. This is WWF's explosive TNT show. Hosted by Mean Gene Okerlund, this videotape takes a look at the superstars of the World Wrestling Federation in a different demeanor, a different look into their lives. And we start off with the legendary, the all-time classic, Fuji Vice. Yes, we start with Fuji Vice. Now, in this point in time, and this wasn't even a storyline on, wrestling shows. This just happened on the TNT show. The Magnificent Morocco and Mr. Fuji were trying to become actors. If they couldn't make it in Hollywood, they would try and make it on TV. So they did their version of Miami Vice called Fuji Vice. And even though some of the cliches are cheesy, gotta admit, this is really fun. This is a really fun little show that they did. And while they may not have had Phil Collins singing, this is a pretty cool thing. Now, one part, or in this episode of Fuji Vice, Mr. Fuji and Magnificent Morocco are trying to catch a drug smuggler called the Seahawk. And the Seahawk just recently killed this gentleman, and this lady by the name of Angelica found out that it was her brother that was killed. So Morocco and Fuji, being the detectives that they are, tried to get the Seahawk. Now, they had $250,000 in a briefcase when they went to meet up with the Seahawk, and the Seahawk was Angelica. Yep, Angelica killed her own brother. Now, there is one part in this that is absolutely funny. She calls for one of her assistants. She's like, "Come over here and tie these guys up." The guy comes around from this side. She's going this way, and the guy comes from over here. It's hilarious. And the acting, while it's not great, is fun. And they do catch the Seahawk, and Fuji and Morocco try to take the claim. Next up, after showing a clip of Bobby Heenan in the ring, he meets a weasel. This young boy by the name of Jamie brought in a weasel, and they were trying to see if the weasel and Bobby Heenan had any similarities between the two. Now, the young boy said that they did, and Bobby Heenan comes back with this great threat. He's like, "What grade are you in? 7th? You want to see the 8th grade?" It was so great. And to be honest, and I've seen this video a lot of times, the one thing I can say that they do have a similarity is the color of, well, in this case, Bobby's hair and the weasel's fur. That's the only similarity I could see. But I gotta say, the weasel. Remember the gopher video from years ago when they played the dramatic music and he was like, the Weasel had like this laid back look like he'd been smoking marijuana. It's absolutely funny. So now we go to a barbecue with Jimmy Hart, Hoss Funk, and Jimmy Jack Funk. And unfortunately, Lord Alfred Hayes pays the price in this as he stops Jimmy Jack Funk from eating, grabbing into the biscuit. They drag him in a noose and they pour barbecue sauce on him and slap him around. But this isn't the end of Lord Alfred Hayes and food. As a matter of fact, in the next segment of this tape, Captain Lou Albano is cooking Christmas cookies. And as we all know, George the Animal Steele loves Christmas cookies. So, Captain Lou Albano, being the chef that he is, measures by eye, not by cup or spoon, to get all of his measurements for his Christmas cookie. And at the end, because they ran out of time, he took everything he had mixed together and poured it over Lord Alfred Hayes' head. And then we come to a very emotional segment. Very emotional. This is Your Life, Nikolai Volkov. And this is a great segment. This is a great segment. Because, you know, from the show, This Is Your Life. So Nikolai Volkov is sitting in the audience, and Vince McMahon pulls him up, and Nikolai's like, oh, I thought I was going to be on the dating game. I thought I was going to be on the dating game. And they're like, no. So they do the whole voice thing, and they had to guess who it was. And the first person was, the first time that I saw him, when I said hello, he had a hard time answering. Oh, Freddie Blassie! Freddie Blassie! And it is classy Freddie Blassie. And then, like, the first line they have together is like, I thought I was going to be on the dating game. Ah, that's all right. We'll have a date of our own after this. Okay. And then Freddie Blassie goes into how he met him and how he won a gold medal in the Olympics when he did it. And Vince is like, which Olympics? And Freddie's like, it was the Olympics! God, you have to... So then Freddie Blassie goes to the couch. And then this next one is great. This one is hilarious. And it's like, you remember all the summers swimming in the Volga. And he's like, it's not familiar, I don't remember. And then the lady goes, do you remember the time we took the trip to Gorky Park and we got sick on the rides? And he's like, oh, it's not familiar. Nikolai, it's your very own sister from Ivangorod. And he's like, Ivan? No, Olga. And this is so great, because she goes into this thing where it's like, we had the production of Peter and the Wolf, and guess who played the cat? Nikolai! 3 curtain calls! It was hilarious. And then it's like, in Ivangorod, we want to change it. Some of us want to change it to Nikolai God. And then she brings in this baby picture of Nikolai. And it's just this big head of Nikolai Volkov on this baby's body. It is absolutely hilarious. It really is hilarious. You have to see it. And then she talks about all the things that Nikolai did that she hated, and she basically wanted to kill him. I wish there was more of this on the tape. I really do. There's a couple of segments that I wish we had seen more of, and I'll get into that at the end of the review. So next we go into Adrian Adonis. Now we see a video clip of Adrian Adonis before where he was tag teaming with Dick Murdoch, and then after when he became adorable Adrian Adonis. And he was getting all of his makeup on, pedicures, hair done, and it's a very interesting segment, very interesting way to show, you know, a guy like Adrian Adonis being transformed, basically, into adorable Adrian Adonis. Then we go back to the Magnificent Morocco, but not acting this time. Instead, we see him getting a massage from 2 gorgeous ladies. Holy crap, 1985. These women were. Basically, Fuji's got the oil, and they're rubbing oil on Morocco's back, and they're just rubbing the oil. So now we come to the next segment, and this is a good one. Bobby the Brain Heenan again. And he defends himself by calling the Brain with a series of trivia questions called Baffle the Brain. And this is a good segment. I really like it because, there are some easy ones like who won the Intercontinental title in 1985, what place? Freddie Blassie won, or had one World Heavyweight Champion, who was it, And then they get to the last question because Heenan's on a roll. And the question was, name 2 current managers in the center of the WrestleMania album. And he says Jimmy Hart, and then he says himself, and it's wrong, it's Lou Albano. And he's like, you didn't make me. And, Heenan gets furious, he's upset, and he walks out. So then we get Roddy Piper and Cowboy Bob Orton now joining the set. And Roddy Piper lost his voice, but he's still good. He is still good. So we go to a clip from Saturday night's main event, a 6-man tag that I reviewed in a recent Saturday night's main event video blog of Roddy Piper, Cowboy Bob Orton, and Jesse the Body Ventura against Hillbilly Jim, Uncle Elmer, and Cousin Luke. So we come back, and it's just a little bit more of Piper talking, and that's about it. So then we get Fuji and Morocco again, and we get this whole probably 10-15 minute bit of their adventures of acting. We see 3 clips from Fuji General, Fuji Bandito, and Fuji Chan. And it's just, it's very hard to describe, and the crowd boos, and Vince McMahon is like, from what I know, you have not had one legitimate offer from Hollywood. Not one. So Morocco says, well, myself and Fuji, we're going to go to Hollywood, and we're going to become stars, and, the TNT cameras go with them. So the first place they go to is this agent. Now, they never say the agent's name. They just go to this agent. And, they play the agent the video of one of their clips. And the agent just laughs out loud, going, this is the worst acting I've ever seen. You guys should stick to wrestling. And Fuji and Morocco are upset. So they then go to this next studio, and the security guard is there, and, they don't let him in. And then they go to another studio, Raleigh Studios, and they're like, we can't blow this one. Fuji, do you have any money? And he's like, oh, confusase. Blah, 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 blah. So they go in, they try to bribe the security guard, and it doesn't work. But then Morocco remembers they're filming Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling cartoon show over at CBS Studios. So, as Mean Gene is getting prepared for his bid, Fuji and Morocco come into the studio, and they want to be a part of this bit. And they find out that they indeed have something planned for Morocco and Fuji. So they record the bit, and at the end, a gift is given to the both of them, and it is a book of how to teach bad actors how to act. It is very good, very good. And then we go back to Roddy Piper, and probably one of my favorite bits in the entire video. Ebenezer Piper. Basically, the story of A Christmas Carol, where Roddy Piper plays Ebenezer Scrooge. Now, they get us to the scene where Ebenezer Piper meets his former business partner, Marley. And Marley is like, "God will be visited by 3 ghosts." So the ghost from Christmas Past comes. He's got this white hair, and, and they show what Roddy Piper did as a kid, and stealing lunch money from the kids. So Marley comes back and says, "Oh, I see you haven't changed. Well, the next ghost will come." And, oh my God, it's Jesus. No, it's not Jesus. It's the ghost of Christmas present. Although he does look a little bit like Jesus. And they show Cratchit and his family what they're doing. And then the ghost of Christmas present gives the weirdest line I swear I've ever heard in any version of a Christmas Carol. It is the stupidest line, but I do have to tell you this one. He's like, they saved up their money all year to buy their kids gifts. They got wrapping paper, but they don't have any Scotch tape because you took the Scotch tape, Ebenezer Piper. So now they can't celebrate Christmas because they don't have any Scotch tape. Really? Really? They can't celebrate Christmas because they don't have Scotch tape. That'd be like me not celebrating Christmas without eggnog. If there's no eggnog, I'm not going to celebrate Christmas. So then the final ghost comes and shows the unmarked tomb, and that's where Ebenezer Piper is. And Marley comes back, and he just runs Marley out of there, and Piper starts singing Mr. Sandman as he falls asleep. It is just a funny segment. It is gold for Piper. It really is. So now we come to the conclusion of the tape. Jimmy Hart, Bret Hart, Jim the Anvil Neihart, the Hart Foundation. In the mating game. Yes, because we can't, break copyright rules, so we're going to call it the mating game. And there's this beautiful blonde named Penelope. Or no, Phoebe. I'm sorry, it's Phoebe. And, they go through the whole questions, and each one gives them a different question. And after hearing the replies, Phoebe is like, you want me going out with one of these guys? You gotta be kidding me. Color me gone. And then all three of them are upset. And Jimmy Hart is like, what a real dog, Vince. What a real... And he's like, calm down. Okay, so this has never happened before in the history of the mating game. Phoebe is obviously disqualified for being a poor sport. For being stupid. Well, whatever you think. So then he goes into this explanation of there have been other women in the back listening to the replies of all three men. So they pick out this woman, Miss Yolanda Jones. And here's this short woman with this big, poofy, blonde afro and a mole right here on the edge of her nose. And Vince is like, so did you hear all three? And she's like, oh, you bet your bottom, sweet or Dewey. They sound all great, but I can't wait to get my hands on Bachelor number 3. And it's Jim the Anvil Neihart. And I swear Yolanda sounds a little bit like Sarah Palin. And Neihart comes out, and he's surprised, and Vince is like, now wait a minute, Jim. Wait a minute. You agreed to the contract that once you came out behind the wall, that you have to go on a date with the female. And, Jim's like, yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm real lucky. And that's the end of WWF's Explosive TNT show. What did I think of it? I have to be honest with you. When I started this series about 2 years ago, and this video was going to be up in the near future, I was wondering how in the world could I review a complete videotape where there is no wrestling in it whatsoever. And to tell you the truth, it wasn't that hard at all. As a matter of fact, this was a very entertaining video cassette. I really enjoyed it because you do get some adult humor in there. You see some legendary stuff, Fuji Vice, Ebenezer Piper, The Mating Game, This Is Your Life, Nikolai Volkov. And there really isn't one bad thing about each bit. Now, like I said, the only, and I don't want to say complaints, but the only things I didn't like was, number one, that they didn't show the entire This Is Your Life Nikolai Volkov bit. I think that would have been great to put on the videotape. And it would have been great to know what the prize would have been for the maiden game, besides $10,000 and a date. I would have liked to have known about that. But other than that, this is a very good videotape. And actually, to believe it or not, folks, yesterday I was looking on eBay, and I found this tape on eBay. Somebody has it up to buy right now for over $200. Hey, it might be worth going for $200 if you want to get the tape, or get it off of Amazon and find it. It's a very good tape of a very good show. The TNT show, really an influence, I think, to other shows that the WWE would eventually have in the near future. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this edition of the Retro Review, and I hope you guys enjoy WrestleMania 28 tonight in Miami, Florida. Until next time, this has been the Retro Review. So long, everybody.